March 26th, 2021, Friday, and everybody's working for the weekend. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast, joined, of course, by the lovely Issa and Mr. Matt Morgan, who I feel like I haven't seen in ages.
Yeah, right. That was the fastest 2 weeks ever.
When you're not doing, isn't it weird how time goes by so much faster when you're not doing the podcast?
Yes.
Yes, but when you're doing it, it's like, oh, I feel every day. I feel all that time.
Raj texted me, and I was like, in my head, I went and looked at the calendar. I'm like, dude, it's only been one friggin' week. There's no way it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Did you get some relaxing time? Did you get some downtime, time with the family? He's like, no. No.
Lord, no, I couldn't do it because I all my other responsibilities pushed all of my other responsibilities back 3 hours. Like right now, I'm lucky I was able to even watch SmackDown, but I was able to watch it in the gym the whole time I was in there. I'm getting ready for a show. I'm getting ready for my own wrestling match that I'm going to be wrestling myself. All this other shit I've got on my plate now. And so it just moves everything back, like as far as time goes. So I'm not done until, 12 a.m., 1 a.m. usually now.
That's insane. Well, you were missed. I'm glad you're back.
Oh, thank you.
You're doing all this, Matt. I'm buying a house. I'm moving. I feel like this is the end of Stand By Me, and we're just showing how we all drift apart as we grow up and move on with our lives. Cherish these moments while we still have them together. SmackDown tonight, though, man. Okay, Fastlane's over. WrestleMania season has begun officially.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked to see them setting up KO and Sami for a Mania match. Actually, I know there's not much meat on the bones as far as like an updated story with them as far as length goes, but I don't need one with them. They have a built-in one. They work so well together, and it has potential shows. I know it sounds crazy, but it has potential show stealer written on it.
Yeah, so does Cesaro and Seth Rollins. I think there's a couple of undercard matches that could really steal the show this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully they put them on separate nights too. Like they need to put KO and Sami Zayn on one night and Cesaro and Seth Rollins on a different night.
Yeah.
I agree. We opened up the show tonight and we knew this was happening. There were rumors flying around social media. Wrestling journalists, I use air quotes when I say wrestling journalists, were saying, they're going to change the Edge Roman match to a triple threat with Daniel Bryan. And tonight's how we got there, with Daniel Bryan essentially demanding a rematch against Roman Reigns, suggesting one tonight, suggesting that he faced the winner of the first, the Edge and Roman match night 1 at Mania, and he goes night 2. And this was like taking the long way to get there tonight to make that a triple threat at Mania with Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, and Edge.
I don't like it. I know it sounds nuts. I know it sounds crazy. It's Daniel Bryan. I like him in every match except this one. Roman don't need it. Edge, I started to, talk to some fans, and fans were like kind of down on Edge because his character kind of has gone back and forth since he's come back. He's kind of a dick on a couple weeks in a row, and then like the next week he's being normal Edge again. Then he kind of drifts back into being kind of a dick again, talking smack to the guys backstage about, before their matches and stuff. But I still don't think that's enough to pull the Batista treatment and say, Edge has been a failure since he's come back. He can't main event Mania. Let's hit the eject button and let's just put Daniel Bryan in again. He'll guarantee us a good match. He will guarantee a good match. Roman didn't need it, though. This is supposed to be about Roman and building Roman. Who gives a shit what Edge has done? Edge just needs to take the 1, 2, 3 from Roman. That's it. That's all this is for. It's just being serviceable for Roman pinning him 1, 2, 3. That's it. He's now beaten a Hall of Famer. And that's the heat that he's supposed to be getting out of this. He doesn't need to have some 5-star mega match here. He doesn't need to have that. And I don't get Daniel Bryan, who they've beaten 1,019 times in a row, can't even beat Cesaro, is now tripping on a banana peel in main event in WrestleMania? No.
Well, I mean, he's there to take the pin because I think they want to protect
who? Edge?
Yeah, Edge has got. I mean, Edge has got a lot of money on this contract. He's doing a couple matches a year.
And guess what?
He lost to Randy.
Yeah.
So guess what, WWE? You get your money's worth by putting, I don't know, Roman, your hood ornament. You have him go over on that guy you're paying all that money for. That's part of why you pay him so much money.
Yeah, I am with Matt on this one, and he was already pinned by Randy Orton. So what are you protecting? You know what I mean? Like, what's the protection here? He wasn't. Listen, I don't need it. I understand where they're going with this. I was actually more intrigued when Daniel Bryan suggested doing the 2-night thing. I was like, oh, I didn't see them going in that route, and they didn't. Obviously, when he suggested that, I was like, okay, they don't have anything for Daniel Bryan to do, and they don't want to leave him out of WrestleMania, and that's what it feels like to me.
Okay. And that's okay. Get him a different match.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm afraid they're going to keep stacking these matches, or we're going to see a lot of one-on-ones become triple threats with the misfit toys and the leftovers that they're trying to get on the card to make it a bigger show.
Well, this is the main event match. This wasn't the match. This is the main event match. This was not the match for them to tinker with.
Yeah. I mean, I could see... I mean, depending on when Charlotte's back, I could see Charlotte get added to one of the women's matches. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they could do to overpack this Mania.
How pissed off would you guys be if Charlotte found her way into a three-way between Sasha and what's her name?
Yeah.
Don't manifest
How
that.
How pissed off would you guys be?
You're manifesting it. I don't like this. Don't even mention it. Don't even say anything.
I know. Nathaniel Cook, $4.99, saying once again WWE drops the ball. Daniel Bryan needs to battle Pete Dunne, and that match would blow the roof off the place. Makes bad.
I don't hate that.
No, that's a good idea. That could be good. Stellar Justin Lopez, $4.99, saying from what I read, Vince feared Roman getting cheered and Edge getting booed, which is hilarious after Vince spent years trying to get him cheered.
Oh well.
So
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Antoine Fair, $5, saying, Matt, to me, this is clearly to have Edge win and protect Roman by Daniel Bryan eating Edge's pin.
That better not be it.
That better not happen. If that happens, I'm kicking my TV in and I'm never watching WWE again. How about that?
If you kick yours, I'll punch mine.
There you go.
So stupid if they do that.
Chronoshaw, $2, saying, wish Bayley had a match at Mania. I think Bayley should be hosting WrestleMania.
Wait, time out. She still doesn't have a match?
She doesn't have a match.
Still?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Brian Barry, $4.99. Edge pins Brian. That's my only guess.
No.
Ugh,
I don't think so. I honestly think that it's just to improve the quality of the match.
I mean, it's going to be a great match, though, right?
Edge versus Roman. I don't know. I didn't think he looked that great against Jey Uso. So I thought he looked good against Randy Orton, but that match he had a couple of weeks ago, or two, was it last week? I can't remember, against Jey Uso. I didn't think he looked at his best. So I think maybe to improve the quality of the match. I don't know. I thought the Daniel Bryan thing was just for Fastlane, and that was going to be it. I didn't think it will go here. But here we are.
There we are. Well, speaking of great matches, we had Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura tonight. Rollins picking up a win again in this build between Seth and Cesaro. Issa, what'd you think of this match?
I thought they put an amazing match at Fastlane, but I didn't need to see Shinsuke getting pinned again. I thought that the match at Fastlane was great and Seth wins. But listen, they're trying to tell Seth and Cesaro, and Shinsuke is just the sacrificial lamb here to build that feud. And I'm okay with that because I do want to see Seth Rollins and Cesaro.
So that's why, and the only reason I'm remotely okay with him beating Shinsuke Nakamura tonight. Because it will mean even more if Cesaro beats him now. But still, with that said, I don't like seeing Shinsuke take pins. I don't think any of us do. And just another example of them not really getting the full value out of this guy. But
yeah,
besides all that, this was a really good match, though. I really dug this match.
They have incredible chemistry in the ring. They put an amazing match on Sunday. They did it again today, just in a shorter version of it. And I just have to say, this Seth Rollins character is growing on me. Not just the character himself. He is so annoying that I actually like it. Him and Sami Zayn right now are on a different level to me when it comes to being annoying, making you laugh, but still taking them seriously. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Well, not so much Sami. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. The whole, he is so aggravating. Even his tweets annoy me, and I love it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Wolfbane, $3, saying not happy with the Roman triple threat. This sucks. And
It does.
King Rail, $5, wondering will they bring up Kane being the fake Diesel and the dentist at his Hall of Fame induction?
Yes.
I hope so.
They'll bring it up as part of a story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we got a lot more to talk about, but first, next week, Matt Morgan and I getting the band back together for our return to Stereo, the sponsor of this episode. If you ever watch this show and you think, I love hearing them talk about wrestling with just a little bit of segues and off-topic banter, and I wish that was flipped around to hear them talk about off-topic banter with a little bit of wrestling, you need to tune into the after show, as it were, on Stereo. Stereo is a live social conversation app for iOS or Android where you can host your own conversations or join other people's. Matt Morgan and I have been doing the after show, as it were, for like 8 weeks now. It's been great. You all ask questions, and that's the cool thing about Stereo. You can record audio. We play it on the show. We answer your questions. We say we're going to do 45 minutes. We go for 3 hours. It's crazy. And next week, Matt and I are bringing it back to Stereo with the after show, as it were. Download that Stereo app for iOS or Android, and once you get it, follow Matt Morgan, follow Glenn Rubenstein, and you'll be notified when we go live next week. We haven't set a time yet. And follow NYC Demon Diva, because Issa, you've been on there. You were on there like 3 times this week.
Yeah, I was. I've been doing content with somebody else, and then I'm doing my own on Thursday.
All right, let's not get out of control with using words like content here. Let me. Not just you, by the way, it's everybody. What do you do on there, Demon Diva? Like, what do you mainly? Do you have something that you talk more about?
No, we just talk all things wrestling going on. Like, at least the one that I do on Thursdays is just girl talk. It's with my girlfriend, and we just do girl talk about wrestling.
That's cool.
All things happening and what we're into this week, headlines, etc.
I'm not going to let it derail the show tonight, but Matt, next week on Stereo, we have to talk about DIY home security hacks, because I've got some ideas.
Oh, really?
Would-be thieves from my house. Okay. We're thinking about getting like a lifelike mountain lion to put in the backyard and having some motion sensors that play like growling noises. I was thinking about building a moat, or maybe getting a predator statue that I could like light all dramatically. Like, I want some tips from the audience about this, because
why not a moat? Raj sounds like he'd have a moat. Why not just ask him?
Yeah, it's true. Raj with his castle, I'm sure.
And his drawbridge and everything, yeah.
Sure, Raj has got 24/7 armed security with the super chat money he's getting,
This is true.
We'll talk about that more, all that, and much, much more next week on Stereo. Download that Stereo app. Follow Matt Morgan. Follow Glenn Rubenstein. Follow NYC Demon Diva. And we thank Stereo for sponsoring the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Jody Shawn Jenkins, Canadian $2, is saying, hey, Matt, best physique ever in wrestling. I thought they were saying Matt has the best physique ever in wrestling.
Yeah, me too. What the hell, dude? In history? Is that what he said?
I mean, best physique ever.
It's tough to say. Batista?
Really?
But Mason Ryan had an amazing physique. Masters had an amazing physique. I liked Orndorff's as a kid. Gosh, I don't know, man. I really don't. I always like the Warrior.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. Honestly, Batista. Because Batista's I saw in person when this dude was still 365 pounds in OVW. He was so big. He had to stop eating as much as he was eating. He had to change his diet. Like when he finally debuted on SmackDown as Deacon Batista, this cat was 40 pounds lighter than what he looked like. If you guys don't believe me, type in Dave Batista / Leviathan and look at his Leviathan photos. He has this lock around his neck, this chain. It's a legit chain from a fence that they got from behind our arena that you lock a fence with. It's not like a chain necklace. It's a shoot chain.
Wow.
He was enormous. I've never seen somebody that big in person before and muscular. So Batista, I'd say. But can I just give them a shout out real quick? Jody Shauna Jenkins does a podcast in Canada, and I was a guest on it 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Talk Politics. It's very, very fun, and I encourage you all to check his show out when you get a chance. It's actually a pretty good show.
Did you get the story behind the couple's YouTube profile?
You would think that would be the first thing I asked. I'm disappointed in myself.
It's okay, Matt. Ian Gomez, $2. This year's WrestleMania match seems like Raw matches to me.
Well, there's some really good ones though. No, like she just said, like for instance, Seth in what's his name? Cesaro. I'm sorry. They're gonna get more time, and when you win a WrestleMania, I'm sorry, those are big stakes. That's the Super Bowl. So like when you win on WrestleMania, it may be another matchup that you could see on Raw, but when you do it at Mania, it's supposed to be a much bigger victory.
Yeah,
I think. I as a fan, that's how I see it.
I agree.
Steve Robbo, £5, saying Sami shopping at the Army surplus store so Rollins can dress like an absolute stylish boss every week. That's a team player respecting the budget. Jason McKay, $10, saying glad to see them finally add some heat to this Bianca and Sasha feud. Crossing my fingers Reginald stays out of this and just flips off.
Please.
Yeah.
So Big E and the Street Profits versus Apollo Crews and the Alpha Academy. Apollo getting that win tonight, pinning Big E. What'd you think of the merging of these storylines, Matt?
I like them actually. I usually don't like. You know how many times have you heard me say, and you too, Glenn, that WWE is very guilty of taking, different minority groups and putting them in the same, either in a tag team together or in the same angle versus each other. If you want to look at the luchador wrestlers, they would be working against each other, right? Or so like in this case, I liked this though, because even though Big E just came from a tag team, you know what I mean? He came out of that tag team setting. This group is different, right? They have a different feel to them, different characters. Even though they're both funny and very entertaining, they're still very different. Ultimately, the story is between Big E, and what I didn't like. Did you guys watch the pay-per-view? Obviously, right?
Yeah.
So in the pay-per-view, like even the pay-per-view, for them to give him his heat back after Big E won, either you're gonna push this kid or you're not. Don't do, with Apollo. Don't do both. Don't take some, give him some, take some, because him winning this, you know what this is. This is what they always do, right? They're not gonna ever have him pin Big E, and nor should they, not yet.
Yeah, not in this setting,
right? But this is why they shouldn't be working each other either. I feel.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's exactly why I didn't like it. That's why I didn't like this storyline. I felt like it just gave him an excuse to do the 50-50 booking, just adding a tag team in there so it would look a little bit differently. So I didn't like them combining it, because ultimately you have Big E win on Sunday. Now you had Apollo Crews win tonight, which going to lead to WrestleMania, and they're going to fight again for the 5th time in like the past couple of months. And Apollo is just so good right now that I feel like you're in a situation where they both need the win, so you might as well keep them away from each other and let them move on to different feuds.
And this is this is the definition of booking your talents into a corner, booking yourselves to a corner. And honestly though, let me ask you something. I would never be okay with this in any other setting, except unless they do put the title, I don't want to see Roman Reigns lose. I just want to make that abundantly clear. But let's say they're idiots and they do put the title on Daniel Bryan. I would only be okay with it is if they're going to switch it onto Big E somehow. And therefore, Apollo beats Big E at WrestleMania for that Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
That's a lot of me pulling stuff out of my you-know-what when I'm... but nonetheless, I would be somewhat okay with that.
There you go. Nathaniel Cook, $4.99, saying WWE booking makes me fear they will destroy stars such as Montez Ford. Good to have you back, Matt.
Hey, thank you. Oh my God, guys, tell me I'm wrong. Montez Ford is such a single star. Such a single star.
Yeah. No, that's why Street Profits, man, they should be in a title match for those tag team championships.
Is there no way for them to be?
I'm assuming it's going to be a 3-way or a 4-way tag match.
Right. It has to be. Too. They were kind of involved in it last week, so it has to be.
Okay.
The KO show tonight. Kevin Owens has Sami Zayn out. Sami Zayn's talking about the conspiracies, the premiere of his trailer for his documentary next week. Logan Paul's going to be there. So the big guns taking notice. But really out there tonight to challenge Zayn to a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. And Sami says yes. Owens attacks him, stuns him. This is going to be great. I mean, this is a very, very accelerated match and storyline.
It is. And like I said, though, I'm okay with it because their chemistry is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're going to kill each other. And I don't know. I'm just happy they both have spots, especially Zayn has a spot on Mania.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but tonight I felt like there was a little bit of a switch of the dynamics because I found myself rooting for Sami Zayn. It felt like KO is not being an understanding friend. In a weird way, I felt that Sami Zayn came off likable. He's like, hey, look, I have great news. We can premiere it on your show, a red carpet. Logan Paul's going to be there. He was so adorable. And then Sami Zayn was just like, no, I just want to face you on WrestleMania and start kicking his ass. I was like, wait a minute, he needs a friend right now. So for me watching it, it felt like the dynamics between them switched a little bit, and I appreciated that.
So you got to remember, though, Issa, we're watching it through the lens of really liking Sami Zayn as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't really get angry with him like fans are supposed to be when he's trying to get heat. Instead, we're watching it from the lens of that was fucking awesome. That was a great job of him trying to get heat. Good job. Yeah. Right? So, like, it's like Roman. Same thing with Roman. Like, if I was in the arena, to hell with everybody, I would stand and cheer for him like a complete mark because he's killing it. And I don't know.
Yeah, but the reason why I felt that way is because all throughout until tonight, when I looked at that segment differently, I've always preferred KO over Sami Zayn, no matter what they're doing.
Really?
Yeah, I've always preferred KO, always. So unless he's facing Roman Reigns, of course, I'm going to switch to Roman Reigns, right? So I've always cheered for Kevin Owens. So it threw me by surprise that I was like, you're not being very understanding. You're not giving him the chance to explain his conspiracies.
Well,
and it was just weird.
You did not like him the way he debuted at NXT and like powerbombed Sami Zayn to the side of the apron, did you?
Yeah, I loved it. I think you and I know by now that I like violence, Matt. I keep surprising you every week. I love when Kevin Owens act that way, which is what I saw a little bit of tonight, which makes me wonder who's the heel and who's the face now, because in my brain, it switched around a little bit.
Yeah, but Sami with the conspiracy and the Logan Paul stuff, I mean, there's still a lot of daylight.
Okay, Logan Paul is the biggest babyface turn on YouTube. I'm sorry, Logan Paul went from being the most hated to being very praised on YouTube.
Who is he? Who is
he's a huge YouTuber, but he used to be very controversial, and then he started changing his content. He started switching. His podcast is great. So I think I'm just saying, if you look up his story, he went from being very controversial to now being praised.
Okay, great. Is he the guy that beat up Nate Robinson in a boxing match?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, he beat up someone.
I swear to God, that's how I know his name.
No, that was Jake Paul. That's his brother.
That was his brother.
Yeah, it was his brother.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, listen, I'm here to look at it differently, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Brett Murphy, $5, saying, keep up the good work, guys. Heading to bed, and hopefully I could sleep better than the past few nights. Infuriating because LA Knight lost. Oh, LA Knight.
Yeah.
Complete. You should. Brett Murphy, I'm with you on that. I was heated, so I still am. That that grown adult man, has main event star written all over him. Yeah, Glenn, they had him lose already.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Terry Allen Jr., 5'10", saying Drew's Broken Dream theme should return at WrestleMania once the lyrics directed to Bobby and he wouldn't know.
That music, I loved that music. I loved that music for him as a chosen one.
Brian Berry, $4.99, saying, could you see them making the triple threat match at Mania for the Universal title a TLC match?
I don't even care, honestly, brother.
That's a good point. Sorry. There's been a lot of shares being used. Maybe.
I mean, Brian, I don't care. I don't like that it's a three-way at all.
Yeah.
Damn, Alonzo Smith. Sami Zayn needs to shave, a haircut, and a bath. He looks like a homeless lumberjack. The conspiracy stuff has gotten hold at this point.
Oh, no way. No. I agree with his look, but his look works. It does work. I mean, he's a tree away from hugging, one at the moment. He's playing perfectly into what he's trying to illustrate. He's doing a great job at it, I think.
Speaking of conspiracies and exposing the truth, Nathaniel Griebel is on to me. He says, it seems like I don't care too much about the wrestling. I'm only here for the paycheck.
What
Someone's
the
finally
bleep
figured me
are you
out.
talking about? Hang on, Nathan. This is like the most heartfelt kid that we have on any of these podcasts on Wrestling Inc.
You know what's funny about it? I
You
mean,
could have hit me with that. You could have even hit Issa, who's brand new to it, and you know nothing about her. But that's my point, is that that's how legitimately heartfelt Glenn is. Glenn talks to you all like you're his best friend. So take it back.
well, that's what's funny about it. I mean, truth is, yeah, I've been over WWE, I think, for about, I don't know, 3.5 of the 4 years I've been doing this show. But I like hanging out with Matt and Issa and Raj and Justin in the chat room. I mean, it's the community, man. It's like, that's the reason to do it. I just thought that was funny. So, Bianca Belair versus Natalya tonight. Bianca getting a definitive nice win here. But once you know it, Sasha Banks hits her with the backstabber after the match. And the fans boo. Matt, to you first. How do you think they're building up this feud? You feeling it between Bianca and Sasha now? Are we getting that heat we need for this Mania match?
We had a definitive heat spot here. So, yeah, I liked it.
Issa?
About time. I didn't like how Sasha poked her forehead and then slapped her, and she just stood there staring at the WrestleMania sign on Sunday. I thought her promo before she came out was funny because she said, you know, my mama told me to be the bigger person. And I'm like, no, you're the bigger person to kick her ass. If she slapped you like that, you kick her ass. You don't stand there staring at the sign. So I'm glad that she got a little bit of that back and slapped Sasha. It's about time that we saw them kind of have a little bit of tension between the two of them. And I'm glad that Bianca got some kind of offense on there with Sasha. And I like her match with Natalya.
This is where writers piss me off, because Russo, love him to death, actually. Vince wrote me some very good television over the years. In fact, I owe Vince my biggest push I probably ever had versus the Main Event Mafia. And I went through every single one of them, Booker T, Kevin, whatever, one by one, to get to Kurt Angle at our WrestleMania, called Bound for Glory at TNA. Anyways, Vince wrote all that. So I just want to preface that with, I get frustrated with how they write for baby faces because they bury baby faces and they don't know it. I remember, like yesterday, I was in the ring with Scott Steiner. We've talked about this, where Scott's like, we're supposed to have this like athlete to athlete promo where even though he's a heel, I'm supposed to be the bigger man and just say, hey, I looked up to you a lot as a kid, me and my brother, went on to be an all-American athlete, and then followed your, path to becoming a pro wrestler. You laid a pathway for many of us NCAA Division I athletes. Thank you, that kind of thing. But then Scott fucking just flipped. What you could see what he was going to say. I knew what he was going to say. It was written. And it was about him like running my girlfriend down, even though I was married, and saying shit that you're supposed to punch somebody in the mouth for. And I just had to sit there. And I went to Russo before. I'm like, Vince, why am I not like destroying him here for this? He's not just getting over on me. He's big dogging me verbally. And I'm just sitting there taking it. This doesn't feel right, bro. The blueprint would not just sit there. I would definitely react to this in a form of physicality. And he's like, Matt, you don't get it, brother. Your your payoff is going to be at the pay-per-view. You're going to get your comeuppance at the pay-per-view. You want this sympathy on you, which he's partially correct on. As a babyface, you want to get sympathy on you. So people will pay money to see you at the pay-per-view, get your comeuppance on that bad guy. But not when it's verbal like that. I don't agree with that. And if you're a 7-foot giant, you damn sure can't have somebody in your face saying those things to you and you not taking their head off into the third row.
Yeah.
It buries you right where you stand. And when I was watching that, that's what it reminded me of, what you were just talking about right there, Issa, between the two girls there. I remember being in that moment in time going, well, I'm doing what they're telling me to do. Like, that's my boss. I got to do what they told me to do. And then it just, you're buried instantly when it happens, and you get pissed at yourself for not saying, I should have blew my nose with that script and said, fuck it.
Yeah, I'm glad they kind of like reeled it back in tonight, because I'm telling you, when Sasha poked her in the forehead like that, I was like, there's nobody that's going to stay poked without getting physical with somebody. No. And the character that we know of Bianca Belair, NXT, even Reginald said something to her and she whipped him with her hair. Yeah. She's not someone to stay quiet and just smile and say, oh, I'll get you. So I feel like it was a little bit fixed tonight, and we're finally getting a little bit of heat between the two of them, which is what we really wanted, this feud. Yeah. They need to do their best to save it. it because we want to see this match, and they kind of ruined it.
I just wanted to ask you for that one part there. When wrestling, when the babyface and the heel break that 2-foot zone, so here's the heel, here's the face. When they get within 2 feet of one another, there has to be physicality.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not physicality, the face looks like the world's biggest, wimp. And that's why you got to be careful. You guys ever notice how like the heel always gets out of the ring before the babyface can get there to them?
Yeah.
Because there's a rule of thumb that if you get within 2 feet of one another, you've got to then have physicality. And if you don't, you're kind of both buried, actually. But more so the babyface.
Yeah.
And this is a wrestling show. This is a wrestling company. This isn't like you don't have to worry about HR. Like there's no. And think about in the movies, Daniel LaRusso still tried. He still took shots at Johnny. He still played the joke at the Halloween dance. He still did things, And when you think about in the movies and TV, when you have the character that's like, I could beat you up, but I'm not going to. Like they're supposed to seem kind of wimpy, and then it's always thinking of that scene in Adventures in Babysitting when Brad confronts Mike at the French restaurant, and then Daryl is willing to shove Mike. Like somebody needs to take the bully down, But you don't want your babyface to look like a complete wimp. That's not compelling. That's not interesting,
especially in today's day and age. Especially, we've already gone past the Stone Cold. Gray shades of gray babyface character that wrestling threw on us in the Attitude Era, when there was a huge shift of no more saying your prayers, eating your vitamins, brother, and cheering for that shit. That shit was corny. It was the dude drinking a beer, right? And the shades of gray were now babyface material. We're even far past that now. We're 20 years at least past that now. So babyface has to be damn near a heel nowadays. That's why I really do think Roman Reigns right now would be the most over babyface because of his edge, because of his swag, because there's a little bit of a dick in him. Yeah. But people like that. People like that badass with a little bit of a dick in him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brian Barry, $4.99, saying Logan Paul's supposed to fight Floyd Mayweather in a charity fight this year. And oh, did they?
Mm-hmm. They haven't said for when.
Why do we know that information?
I don't know
at all. Why do you know that?
It was all over Twitter.
My fault.
Steve Robbo, £2, saying, "Can you imagine a reality show with Montez and Bianca?" Yes, I can.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. That should have happened already 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. Razor Gem 555 to 666, $5 New Zealand. What is the reason why NXT and AEW ratings are not growing? I hope everyone on the Wrestling Inc. team is doing well. Much love. It is true. The ratings do seem pretty. I mean, they swing maybe 100,000 viewers week to week, but it's not getting bigger.
I really don't have an answer. I saw Kenny Omega on Impact did its lowest impact in quite some time. 116,000 viewers. When Justin LaBar was telling me that they're normally getting 149,000 viewers, 130,000 viewers. And then somehow when the biggest star in a non-WWE television show was on their show, for it to drop to that, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I really don't.
Yeah, you need a jailbroken old school cable box to find Impact. What network does Impact even air on? You can't really go by Impact, right?
but that's supposed to, when you have a star on it like that, he's supposed to be the one that's making us I couldn't tell you when Impact was on. I had no clue. I haven't watched it since I've been there, honestly. Mm-hmm. But I would, and I did, when I knew he was coming on that show. Not this last time, but the first time. So I don't know. I just think it's all together, whether it's AEW, NXT. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I feel like it's very insider, and they're not doing a lot to gain new viewers. I feel like both shows feel very for the insiders, for the people that have been here.
Do you think NXT is, though? NXT you think is insider?
No, but I feel like NXT, you have your old school nostalgia people that watched it back when it felt bigger than what it feels like now.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I just don't see them doing anything that's going to. I thought they did I thought Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly did an amazing job with that promo this
You
week,
like that?
but is
Did
that
you like
going
it?
to? I loved it. I did. It was very passionate. It felt very real. I'm into it more than I am Karrion Kross and Finn Balor, and that's shocking because I really love Karrion Kross. But I really love what the two of them are doing. It's just because of their friendship, whatever. It just doesn't feel like you're doing anything new.
I blame Finn
But
Balor, not Karrion Kross, for that.
same, and I think they need to give Karrion Kross the belt and let him have the reign that he was supposed to have before he got injured. And listen, props to Finn for carrying it in the meantime, but we know that Karrion Kross was supposed to be a long-term champion, and injury got in the way. So I'm looking forward to him having a real run, and I feel like people will tune in if they see a picture of him, a video of him, his entrance, him in the ring,
Dude.
Scarlett. I feel like people will tune in to watch that.
So, yeah, no, 100%. And I'm doing a fundraiser for our Boys and Girls Club of America, but here where I live in Florida. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Can you guys see that? Not really.
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, I can.
Nice.
So, like photograph.
Yeah, but even look at their 8x10, right? Him and his wife. Like they scream star. They screams superstar from every angle possible. And I think that's amazing, by the way, that he gives back to this community. And he hasn't even been on SmackDown and RAW yet. I'm telling you guys, in real life, this is a really good dude.
Oh, yeah. No, I worked with him. They did some work for one of our sponsors at a StarCast, and they were both phenomenal and super professional when another wrestler, who I won't name, Orange Cassidy, didn't show up for the meet and greet, and they went overtime and did a fantastic job. I'm huge just fans personally of Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
I just can't wait to see his reign. I cannot wait to see his reign because I still feel robbed when he got injured. I'm glad he's healthy and we're going to see it.
Yeah.
Now let's put over the Boys and Girls Club, Matt. I feel like we've talked about that organization before on this podcast. Seriously, I at the end of the year when I'm doing my donations and trying to think of charities I haven't supported, it was actually this podcast that made me remember how pivotal, because we were talking about like the first time we just heard hip hop or like started watching wrestling. And for me, that was the Boys and Girls Club. We watched WrestleMania on VHS. The first time I heard New Edition, Real Roxanne, that was all the Boys and Girls Club. First time I ever failed at breakdancing was the Boys and Girls Club. And I've got such nostalgia for that because it's a great place in every community where you can go and meet other people from your community, other kids that might not be the same ones you go to school with. You can be exposed to different cultures, different backgrounds, different viewpoints, and it's just a great organization. I love hearing you're raising money for the one there.
Thank you. Yeah, man, I'm on the board now. And I was definitely from the age 8 all the way to my first day in college. I was in my Boys and Girls Club, seriously, daily, because that's where I worked on my basketball game by myself. Until I got comfortable being around other people in social situations and not as awkward and quiet and shy. And then you got introduced to them through basketball and then became the cocky prick I am now. But yes, sincerely, it's the best of the best, the Boys and Girls Clubs, just because what you just said. It's like a melting pot of different cultures, age groups, likes, like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Breakdancing and trying new things that maybe you may not have tried. I don't know. It's a great situation, and I can't suggest it enough to parents out there that sleep on it too much. That the Boys and Girls Club is still most certainly around. Just look up where the one is in your community and get your kids involved in whether it's sports or after school specials. Nowadays they have computers there and they have people that work with them on their homework.
I used to volunteer. I used to teach Zumba, and then I would tutor kids that had that were trying to learn English. It's so much fun.
ESL?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's just a lot of fun. You feel great about it, and you just meet these kids have such stories, such characters. Like they stay in your heart. It's awesome.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Jackson Callens, $4.99, saying, I got nothing, just showing my support. Much love, guys. Jackson Callens is going to, I'm going to hire Jackson Callens to do some home renovation for me on the new house in Las Vegas. We've been talking about it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be spending a lot of time with Jackson Callens in April.
That's awesome. Jackson's very long time friend of the show, in real life, our friend as well. Good dude. That's awesome, Glenn.
Absolutely. And his portfolio is beautiful. If you're in the Arizona area, you're looking to get some tiling done in your bathrooms, you're done. Hit up Jackson Callens on Twitter. His portfolio stuff is great. Brian Barry, 499, saying, I think they should do the Cross versus Balor match at Mania.
It would be a nice stuff, but they have 2 nights to fill out NXT as well. So
what am I missing here? Why can't that be at Mania? Because they have to do the, what do you call it?
Takeover.
NXT gimmick.
yeah.
I do agree him winning that title could be a cool moment at Mania, obviously. But whatever it takes for him to get the damn title back, I don't care. Just as long as it happens.
Same. I don't care where it happens as long as it happens.
So we're talking about all this stuff. We're on such a high, and now let's talk about Dolph Ziggler versus Rey Mysterio.
Wow.
Where did this come from? Why was this on the show?
And I feel bad for everyone involved in this.
Me too.
Dominic, Bobby Roode, like this it's just bad, man. This is not good. Ray got the win, but
I feel bad for Dominic.
Yeah.
I wish his real father, Eddie Guerrero, was here to save him.
His real storyline though.
But yeah, I think these teams will be in that match at Mania. Probably against the Street Profits.
Hey, time out.
It's gonna happen.
Eddie, can I just say Eddie had a T-shirt that said "I am your poppy"?
Yeah, I have that T-shirt too. I wear it with pride.
Pat, did you see NBC Universal people at Peacock are going through and censoring old WWE content in the move to the network for things that might not play so well? So I'm really worried that your send-off at the hands of the Mexicools might be cut off Peacock on the WWE archives.
Oh, that was incredible. Yes, good. So I get, yeah, so you guys can't see me get my ass kicked. Good. I'm okay with that. No, I was just watching WrestleMania 2 today.
Yeah.
And it was after Piper gets disqualified versus Mr. T in his boxing match. And he's talking and saying all these things. I'm like, holy shit, how did that ever, wow. I don't even remember that as a kid when he says some of the things he says, but you're right. And I'm looking at it today going, oh my God, there's no way that could air today.
I'm sorry, Disney Plus and HBO Max have put up cards ahead of content like Gone with the Wind or the things where they're saying like, hey, it was a different time. We understand now this doesn't play well at all.
They do that? They do that?
Yeah.
I think that's ingenious.
Yeah.
That's smart because at least you're warning people if somebody's going to be offended by that, then at least you know what I mean? There was something that was put up previously to warn them. But at the same time, don't you think that there needs to be if we keep getting rid of history, it's going to be completely forgotten about. And there's terrible lessons that we have all had to learn through others' mistakes or even our own for that matter to get to where we've gotten to today. We're at where we're at today because of all of those mistakes. And I'm just fearful if we live in this pristine society. I'll say this for stereo and I'll shut up because this is
I get it. No, it's important though. You're right, because even today, the most evolved people weren't always the most evolved people. And I think it's important sometimes to own up to those past mistakes or speed bumps on your way to becoming a better person. I think you're right.
Or even learning from others though, well though.
Absolutely. You know, I give credit. Paramount Plus just put up the first season of You Can't Do That in Television. And we were watching that the other night. And
what was bad on that?
Oh my God.
Really?
Well, like El Capitano at the firing squad was brownface doing that sketch. There's a lot of it's somehow both a kind of woke show, but also problematic, like just depending on the sketch or the segment. Like some things you go, wow, that's really progressive. And others are like, oh my God. But I watch a lot of it. I was watching the episode about drugs. And I'm like, this was a kid's show. I cannot believe this was a kid's show that they put on there. It's interesting, but you have to view it through the prism of what it was at the time, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not to excuse anyone's bad past behavior, but I think that, it's like to understand it is to, show how we've evolved and understand why we needed to, perhaps.
Where we were at in a society where that was acceptable at the time. Yeah. That's the biggest takeaway that I worry about our kids not being able to learn from that, where we look back at the day like, hold up, time out. Y'all had slavery? What in the
Yeah.
You know, remember your first reaction to that when you were a kid? And
Yeah.
you're like, wait, what? That you're shitting me. This wasn't real, right? Like your first reaction to that, your just mind is just blown by that when you're a little kid, right? And then but now if you don't have that, how do you not? I don't know.
Yeah, perspective. It's important to have perspective. And we'll talk about this much more on Stereo next week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Steve Robbo, 20 pounds, saying all three in on this. If you could book the Mania main event for both nights, who would you have close? All current and possible superstars are on the table. Show the fantasy bookers how it's done. Glenn, you're the voice of WINC, bro. Well, thank you so much. But that's interesting. So fantasy booking, closing the main event each night.
I had Roman.
Yeah.
And I still have Roman. Roman standing tall in one, and come on, not Sasha, but
Rhea.
There's a opponent.
Oh, Bianca.
Bianca standing tall the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will stick with Sasha and Bianca night one, and I actually will switch because he says it's fantasy booking, and I will have Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley night two.
Oh, there you go.
You can't just throw him in there.
He said anybody. He said anybody's fair game.
Yeah. Friggin' okay, Bruno Sammartino back to life. I don't know. I get to beat Bruno.
I would love to see Rhea beat Asuka, and then have Becky Lynch just come out and say, Rhea, you, me, SummerSlam, and that's the end. Okay. If we go off the air with that.
I love that.
It's not terrible. Yeah.
Stellar Justin Lopez, $4.99, saying the Cut Piper's match with Bad News Brown at WrestleMania 6, where he painted himself half black. There's no way the Attitude Era is going to survive this.
Oh.
No, they're going to have to delete the whole Attitude Era if they're going to censor.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, did WWE or did NBC, Universal, or Peacock, like, who did they think they were getting in business with?
That's what I was thinking.
I hate to say it, but yeah, I have thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is a business that specifically plays on your emotions. That's our number one job as a pro wrestler, is to make you emotionally invest. And if we could take things in the current genre that's happening now in today's society and piss you off with it, if you're the bad guy, that is your job.
Yeah.
It's your job. So go back in time. That's a lot. Same thing was, they had the same job title back then. It's never changed, actually.
Yeah, and I think it was probably, in today's world, it's probably harder for them to push those buttons. But back then, I mean, cheap. When you talk about cheap heat, like that's the cheapest form, and
100%.
And it's crazy because you think about like, oh, here are the top 10 worst moments, but there are hundreds of moments that, like, just where does it stop? I think they need to come up with a disclaimer system or something to contextualize this. So there's not going to be an archive at all. Antonio Garcia, $5, saying, I don't know why Peacock can't have a tier where you can get the archive uncensored.
I wish they would assign a deal similar to what UFC has, to where, like give Peacock the rights to stream the pay-per-views, but keep the network so everything could have stayed the same. Because it's just going to be a lot of history that's gone that we can find so easily in the network now, and they're editing, supposedly, from what I saw today, they're editing the WWE network internationally as well. So the same changes that Peacock is making, they're making to the network for the people that get to keep the network. So anybody that has a DVD collection of old school WWE pay-per-views, guess what? You have access, because nobody else is going to have access.
Yeah, good point.
It's crazy, man. And just so nobody gets this twisted, I mean, none of us are defending the content itself, but I think that to Matt's point, it's like history is important. And whether you like what happened or not, to be able to have that unpreserved is important. And especially in terms of teaching why it was wrong and people understanding why we can't go back there.
Especially for that reason. Number one with a silver bullet reason. Yes.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I remember the host said that history needs to be remembered, not celebrated. Not all history needs to be celebrated, but all history needs to be remembered. And that's exactly what this is. Look at how far we've come.
Yeah.
And I'm just worried we're not going to be able to say that anymore, because we're not going to have those teachable moments to be able to, like, I don't know.
Yeah. So the final segment tonight was Adam Pearce making the announcement. It's going to be a triple threat at Mania. Bryan and Edge got into it. Reigns joined into it. Edge was standing tall at the end of this. I mean, we all knew this was coming. He wasn't
standing tall. He was sitting on a chair because he can't keep up with them. He can't keep up with them because he's old. Okay, it's been 10 years and he needs to stay away.
Metaphorically, he was standing tall, Lisa. Literally, he was sitting down.
He was literally sitting down, gassed out. Come on, you saw it. I saw it.
I was being kind.
Guys, I don't know why they think they need to have this barn burner of a match. They don't. Edge just needs to serve as a target for Roman spear. That's it. Ding, ding. Eat the spear. 1, 2, 3. That's all I need to see. That's all I need to see. He's the hood ornament. He is your hood ornament of this company right now. He needs a win over a Hall of Famer like Edge, and now this gets completely diluted. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either, and I really don't think it made any of them look any better. Outside of Daniel Bryan looking sneaky, nobody looked better tonight, period.
Sneaky. And you know what else? It's like, look, Roman's been killing it with his matches. He's been having great quality matches, actually. And it's like, so I don't need him to have another like 5-star match at because it's WrestleMania. The purpose of Edge was to, again, be a Hall of Famer that the champ of champions in WWE, beats him. That's all he's needed to be served as, on a silver platter to Roman, so Roman could continue to crescendo into the super duper stardom that he's on his way to continuing. Because otherwise, all that stuff with Jay, turning Roman, all of it will be a waste if they take the title off him right now, and I'll be very pissed at this. Stupid if they do this.
Antonio Garcia, $5, saying, I'm hoping Edge and Bryan break off for a summer feud and bring someone new for Roman, perhaps Big E.
Okay. I don't hate any of that, although I don't want to see Big E lose yet, but he's not ready to beat Roman just yet.
That's where they should go. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Edge has felt all over the place and a little bit moody throughout this entire feud.
Issa, will you be okay with Roman doing the job and dropping the title to Big E?
No, not right now.
All right, 2 months from now? How about 3 months from now?
Maybe like 3 years. I'll be fine.
Come on, I'm being sincere. I'm being serious.
We'll see what they go with Big E. Not when he's getting pinned on SmackDown in a random tag match. I'm not okay with it. No. See? You gotta build Big E like a monster in order for me to say, yeah, go ahead and do it. I need that win to be significant, and Big E he's not there yet. If they book him consistently not losing and like demolishing people, then yes. But he literally just got pinned tonight.
Just wanted to ask.
So, final thoughts on tonight's show, Matt Morgan.
Good. I thought it was good. Again, I was very, very excited to see Sami and KO get a freaking WrestleMania match. That was a really big highlight for me tonight. It was. Loved the freaking opening match. The opening match was freaking off the wall good. Between Seth and Shinsuke Nakamura. I liked the whole show almost the entire show. I got to be honest. So out of 10, 1 to 10, I will give them an 8.5 tonight.
Wow. Issa.
That's high. Yeah, I thought I liked it. I figured we were going to get to the triple threat, but they told a story from beginning to end with it. I would always be here for Seth and Shinsuke. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. I miss Bayley tonight. I really want her to have a WrestleMania match. I'm upset that she doesn't have a WrestleMania match. And yeah, and you have all these tag teams. Like Rey Mysterio finally teased that he wants to be tag team champions with Dominic, and I hated that he even manifested that onto the world. So why should be one of those WrestleMania moments, father and son? Oh my God, it's gonna happen. I'm telling you. 7.
There you go. Wolfbane, $5, saying WWE going to Peacock has put the F back now the World Wrestling Flower Network. It's kind of, that was a good try, Wolfbane, but come on. A more serious note, Steve Robbo, our condolences. Steve, £5, saying, thank you guys so much. I lost my mom on Wednesday at 59. Listen all the time, but don't contribute a lot. But seeing you answer my questions has been an escape. Steve, so sorry to hear that. And,
yeah, Steve. God dang, I am so sorry, brother. That never, ever is easy. It sucks. My dad passed away, good Lord, in 2011. I still, when I get weirded out, I still rub his ashes on my tattoo here. I talk to him out loud at car stops. How about that? At red lights, when I'm having a really, really wackadoodle day and I'm really stressed, my dad rides shotgun with me and I talk to him out loud. I know it sounds crazy. And I'm telling you right now, when you lose your mother, your father, it is the shittiest thing in the world. It sucks. Yeah. We all morph back to being those little boys and little girls that they raised. And it sucks. But I will say this much. She's going to go with you everywhere you go, is watching everything you've got going on in your world right now. And I don't know you enough to say this, but I do know enough to know about parents and being one myself now. And I will guarantee you, she's incredibly proud of the man you've come to be. I guarantee that.
Very well put, Matt. Very well put. And again, Steve, our condolences.
God, man.
It's tough. I think about it all the time. I mean, we talked about this.
For the smart ass that made that comment earlier about you, Glenn, this is the shit. This is why Glenn does this show. Sorry, this way. This is why Glenn does the show. For these types of things, because he's a good dude and he's a good friend. He's a good friend to all y'all watching this.
No, and it's his community too, man. I mean, last year when I was going through, I mean, sort of talk about it, not quite the same, but when my mom had COVID last summer, you know, and I'm writing that letter you never want to have to write your parent, where it's like, this could be it, right? I mean, this community, you know, not only the co-hosts, Matt, you, Issa recently, Raj, Justin, I mean, Alfred, like the camaraderie that we have and the bond that we have, but the bond we have with this community.
Family.
I mean, I don't know how I would have made it through this last year with my mind intact without the community around Wrestling Inc. and this podcast.
Oh my God. Yeah. Remember when we first started doing this, when COVID hit?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh my God, thank you for doing it. I was like, y'all got to just completely twisted.
Yeah.
We're using you guys to get our minds off of this craziness that's happening in our world right now. And you're our distraction.
Yeah.
So it's very cyclical.
Absolutely. Right? And that's the thing. You know, we've talked about this on the after show and we talk about it on the podcast. It's like, it's unfortunate we have to talk about wrestling some weeks because there's so much more that's on our minds or that we're excited about. And when WWE programming is bad, this podcast is almost like a support group for people that love wrestling, but are disappointed with wrestling. You know, we're disappointed with WWE and the product, but this community, man, like it's definitely been huge this year. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning out. Jackson Callens had one final thing to say, that tonight's storyline, all it did was take away the spotlight on Edge's storyline and return. Don't need Daniel Bryan in the mix. I mean, Daniel Bryan's return has been, think about, what was it, 2 years ago, Matt? When I think Raj texted you, like, Daniel Bryan's coming back.
I almost drove off the road. Because immediately I'm like, I'm going to finally see AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. This is going to be awesome. And yeah, it's been a fart in church. Not because of Daniel Bryan, but just with how they've booked him.
Yeah. And I know he wants to put other guys over, but
I personally think since Daniel Bryan came back, the best that he was when he was a heel. When he was doing the Planet Champion and he had that match with Brock Lesnar, the match with Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35. That was his best. After that, it just hasn't been the same.
Yes, I agree with that.
And we'll see. So next week, I was going to say we'll be back Monday. Matt, you're Fridays only now. And we're doing Wednesdays as well?
Wednesdays and Fridays.
Wednesdays and Fridays. So I get to see Matt on Fridays. Monday night, I don't know who I'm podcasting with. It's a surprise to me.
Issa,
are you on Mondays now? I don't know.
I don't know. I was asked to fill in last Monday. I don't know anything else after that.
This is going to feel, Matt, like Happy Days when Richie left. And they're bringing in Ted McGinley to fill that void. But Roger, nobody was tuning in for Roger and the Fonz's chemistry.
It's gonna be a surprise opponent every Monday for you. You're just gonna log in, and there's gonna be a new face there.
God forbid it's Raj Giri. God forbid Raj shows up to do the podcast consistently.
He didn't do Monday.
No, he will probably do. Did he do this last Monday? I don't
Did he
think
do
maybe.
last Monday?
Yeah,
He
he did.
did.
Oh, it was one before he didn't do. So we'll see. We'll see.
Wait, talk about how could have all four of you done it? So it was
No.
Issa, Raj, and you?
I did one with LeBar. Was that last Friday? We did this with LeBar? I can't even remember.
I don't know. I was here
No, I'm
Monday. It
talking
was a Monday after
Monday,
Fastlane.
Glenn.
It
Okay.
was
Glenn,
Oh,
no.
Fastlane.
It was you, me, and Raj on Monday.
Okay.
Wow.
Fastlane was me, Alfred, and Justin.
Yeah.
But Monday,
Yeah.
the work
Monday.
show to watch, Monday Night Raw, did
Yes.
Raj do it?
I think he did this last Monday. So we'll see what happens next week.
Oh.
Who knows? I'm just along for the ride, man. Gonna be here.
You have to remember, we were trying to tell him about the afterlife of the Fiend.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
What?
Issa has some very detailed theories about the hierarchy of hell, including, I believe, that hell has Wi-Fi. If you're good enough, if you're bad enough, you get perks.
So
in hell.
yeah, it's a negative reward system to where the worse of a person that you are, the better Wi-Fi you get when you get to hell. And like you get better food, you know what I mean? Like you get like 5-star meals if you're like a really big crook. But if you're like a small time criminal, you get really shitty like dial-up internet, and then you get like hot dogs and yeah.
What? So this was your can of worm conversation that started with the Fiend?
Yeah,
Yes.
because I have so many questions for the Fiend. If he just got back from hell, I need to ask him, how was it? Who did you get to hang out with? Who's down there? Did you wrestle anybody down there? Like the Fiend, I guess he's listen.
So my thing with all this, I was like, why does he still have hair? He should have shaved his hair.
Yeah.
How did his hair not
point.
burn? Why did his hair not burn? How did it?
Maybe there's beauty salons in hell and they tried to do some kind of extension work on him, you know?
When they lit him on fire in the ring, though, wasn't his whole body on fire or no?
Yeah, but somebody in hell hooked him up. There has to be beauticians down in hell.
Evil beauticians.
Evil beauticians,
Can
of
I
course.
just say how disappointed I was? Okay, not disappointed, but shocked. I had just been called up to SmackDown. It was the first week there, and I didn't know they had a makeup chair, person to do your hair, stuff like that, right? And I remember getting just like a trim or something like that, right? Sweet high top fade that I still have to this day. And I never forget this. And I was like, what's that? And I pointed to like a blonde haired extension that was inside of like this long packet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're like, you don't know what that is? I'm like, no, what is that? The hairdresser says, oh, that's Trish Stratus's hair. I go, whoa, wait. What do you mean it's Trish Stratus's hair? That doesn't make sense. She's like, wait, you think like that's their real hair? Like, Matt, we knit that into some of their hair. I'm like it was over for me. I was so like little boy Matt was devastated. Because I had no idea. This whole time I assumed like that was Trish's real hair. That was Stacy Keibler's
No,
real
they
hair.
all wear extensions, all of them.
I grew up
I didn't know any of this.
at the age
I
of
love
7
that.
or 8.
So
my
shallow,
mom
man.
explained that Tina Turner wore a wig and that wasn't her real hair. And I've just had disbelief ever since about most women's hair.
Ugh, I
will say is I get asked all the time, especially like when I have my hair freshly done, if it's not mine, and it drives me crazy because it's mine. But I get that all the time. Like I feel like females are so used to it that they assume any girl with long hair, they go, "Oh, where'd you get your extensions?" And I'm like,
Right.
No.
So nowadays, like, oh my God, yeah. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, this was my first experience with it.
Dolly Parton also wears a wig. But Matt, could you imagine? Think about how much time you've spent trying to get those points perfect on your hair.
Yes.
Imagine if you could just put something on that had the perfect Matt Morgan spiky top special.
I'm getting closer and closer, just willing just to start shaving my head. The problem is I don't want to look like a menacing, scary person.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And I will look that way. I worry. I fear. But like, yeah, that's I was like kind of embarrassed by that. I was like it was like the guys telling me, like, you don't know that? I'm like, well, no, I've been with the same girl since my freshman year in college. Why would I know that? How would I know that? You know?
Remember that episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they were stuck somewhere because of the earthquake, and the girl starts taking out her nails, and then she takes out her lashes, and then she takes out her hair, and he's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah. Yeah. See, you recognize her. Yes.
Yeah. That's what you just reminded me of for some reason.
Yes, totally.
There you have it, folks. You can't get this in any other wrestling podcast. So on that note, everybody, have a good weekend. We'll be back next week. Until then, I'm Glenn Rubenstein. Follow Issa at NYC Dima Diva. Follow Matt at BP Matt Morgan. And download that stereo app for iOS or Android. The after show, as it were, is returning next week to stereo. You'll be notified when we go live. When you get that app, follow Matt Morgan, follow Glenn Rubenstein, and give a follow to NYC Dima Diva. You'll be notified when we go live, and we'll talk about all this and more. It'll be so off topic. It'll somehow strangely get back on topic next week on stereo. And we'll see you next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast.